we're going to introduce the idea of an experiment and go through some of the key vocab that you'll need to know to be able to use them. An experiment is used to answer some sort of question. And what we're going to use it for is to figure out the cause of something. So when we looked at scatter plots, we were able to draw a couple axes and figure out what kind of relationship there was. We could figure out a correlation between one variable and another variable. As long as they were both quantitative, we could put them on a scatter plot, and we could determine if they were correlated, if they fit together. Now, when we run an experiment, we're not just going for correlation. When we had scatter plots, we had to worry about things like lurking variables. Based on what we know with scatter plots, we need to get rid of the lurking variables so they're not confounded. And confounded is a new word we're going to be using a lot. It's basically the idea that lurking variables get mixed up with the explanatory variable. So in the same way in our scatter plots, we weren't really positive that the thing on the x-axis caused the thing on the y-axis. There could be some other lurking variable in the background. That process of having them get mixed up is called confounding. And the whole idea of a properly designed experiment is that we won't have this problem. If we design our experiments right, we will be able to figure out what causes what and not have to worry about lurking variables getting confounded with our explanatory variable. So we'll go through that process and try to figure out how we can get rid of confounding, get rid of lurking variables, so that the only thing that we see in our study is the explanatory variable and whether or not it is or is not the cause. Getting some vocab down, we have an experiment uses treatments on experimental units. So treatments are what are being done to the person or other experimental unit, and the subject/experimental units are the people or objects or animals in the study. If it's a human, we call them a subject. Otherwise, if it's like a rat or a DVD player or whatever it might be, we call them experimental units. Here's an example situation. Let's see if we can figure out which is which in here. A hair products company wants to compare how much damage two different types of shampoo do to women's hair. So, hair products company comparing two different types of shampoo. They try shampoo agua on a group of 30 female volunteers. Go ahead and highlight that real quick. We have one type of shampoo, shampoo A, and then they want to compare the results to shampoo Befa, shampoo B here, used on 30 different volunteers. So we have two different groups of volunteers being tested, each with a different shampoo. The two treatments are going to be the two different shampoos being used. The experimental units, I'll pull that up here. So the two different shampoos, those are your two treatments, because that's what's being done to the subjects. The subjects in this case, since they are human, would be, we have 30 volunteers and 30 more volunteers, would be the 60 female volunteers in the study. And basically what we have here then, two things that are being done, 60 people that they're being done to. And if we go a little farther, we can start looking at the variables in this situation. So we have an explanatory and we have a response variable in our experiment, in our study. The explanatory, the thing that we're trying to figure out of how different causes affect things, is going to be the two different types of shampoo. So, type of shampoo used is our explanatory variable. It's what explains what's going on. In the same way, the thing that is being measured to compare these two shampoos is, let's go back to our original problem here, the amount of damage, how much damage the two different types of shampoo do to women's hair. So that's what we're trying to measure. So we try one shampoo, see how much damage, try the other shampoo, see how much damage, and that's how we compare the two. So the amount of damage done to the hair would be the response variable. And so an experiment is all about having either people, which we call subjects, or some other form of experimental units, receive different treatments so that we can compare. The treatments together form our explanatory variable, and we measure the effect using whatever the response variable is. And that could be quantitative or it could be categorical, and we'll talk about different ways to do both of those.